Decoding AWS CLI errors, understanding misleading messages in Route 53 list resource record sets. This podcast is brought to you by Business Compass LLC. We are an Amazon Web Services advanced consulting partner. We build and migrate workloads to Amazon Cloud. Our website is businesscompassllc.com. Our phone number is 973-638-2228. Our email address is contact@businesscompassllc.us. Introduction to AWS CLI misunderstandings. The AWS Command Line Interface, CLI, is a powerful tool for developers and system administrators, enabling them to interact with various AWS services through simple commands. However, like any tool, it's not without its pitfalls. Misleading error messages can cause significant confusion, mainly when users are unaware of the underlying issues. In this blog post, we'll explore a specific case involving the Route 53 list resource record sets command and the challenges of deciphering AWS CLI error messages. Common pitfalls in interacting with AWS services. When interacting with AWS services using the CLI, it's easy to make mistakes that lead to errors. These errors often stem from incorrect syntax, invalid parameters, or lack of required permissions. However, the error messages returned by the AWS CLI can sometimes be misleading, making it challenging to identify the root cause of the problem. Specific case: Route 53 list resource record sets error. One common issue occurs when using the Route 53 list resource record sets command. This command retrieves a list of resource record sets in a specified hosted zone. While it seems straightforward, users can quickly encounter errors if they're not careful with the parameters they provide. Initial challenge: passing an empty string as hosted zone ID. A particular challenge arises when a user mistakenly passes an empty string as the hosted zone ID parameter. The expected behavior would be for the AWS CLI to notify the user that the hosted zone ID is invalid or missing. However, the error message returned could be more accurate. Misleading error message: lack of permission. Instead of receiving a message indicating an issue with the hosted zone ID, the user might receive an error stating they lack the necessary permissions to act. This can lead to unnecessary troubleshooting efforts, as the user might assume that the problem lies with their IAM permissions. Incorrect feedback from AWS CLI, implications and confusion. This misleading feedback from the AWS CLI can cause significant confusion. Users might spend time adjusting their IAM policies, checking access controls, or contacting support, all because the error message must accurately reflect the actual issue. This wastes time and creates frustration and mistrust in the tool's reliability. Correct interpretation of the error. The actual issue in this scenario is the invalid hosted zone ID. When the CLI receives an empty string or an improperly formatted ID, it should ideally return an error indicating that the ID is invalid or missing rather than suggesting a permissions issue. Understanding this can save users from unnecessary troubleshooting and help them address the problem more efficiently. Identifying the actual issue: invalid hosted zone ID. To identify the real problem, users must carefully review the parameters they pass to the CLI. Ensuring that the hosted zone ID is correctly specified and not empty is crucial. By doing so, users can avoid misleading permission errors and resolve issues more quickly. Proposed solution: clearer error messaging. The solution to this problem lies in clearer error messaging from the AWS CLI. When a user passes an invalid or empty hosted zone ID, the CLI should return an error that accurately reflects the issue. For instance, an error message like invalid or missing hosted zone ID would immediately direct the user to the real problem, allowing for quicker resolution. Request for improved clarity in AWS CLI responses. AWS could significantly improve the user experience by enhancing the clarity of its CLI error messages. By providing more accurate and descriptive errors, AWS would empower users to troubleshoot more effectively, reducing the time spent on resolving issues and increasing overall satisfaction with the AWS CLI. Conclusion and call to action. In conclusion, while the AWS CLI is a valuable tool, its error messages can sometimes be misleading, leading to unnecessary confusion and wasted effort. Users can better navigate these challenges by understanding common pitfalls, such as the issue of passing an empty hosted zone ID. However, the onus also falls on AWS to improve the clarity of its error messages and enhance the user experience. We encourage AWS users to provide feedback on their experiences with CLI errors and request improvements that could help make the tool even more user-friendly. By working together, we can ensure that the AWS CLI remains a robust and reliable tool for all users. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please share this podcast, visit our website, and follow our social media links.